We're here with Jack, head coach of the College of St. Rose. Jack, I appreciate your time, and for sure it's going to be valuable for the international students to have like a more transparent grasp of your esports program.
hmm Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
So, tell us a bit about your journey. Like, how do you get to like being the head coach of St. Rose?
Yeah, so my esports journey started out as a player. I played Super Smash Bros. With my friends. We would just hang out, play the game, whatever. Eventually, someone was like, "Oh, there's tournaments," so we started to go to those. I started to play in those and started to find out how much better people were than I was at this. And so, I sat down and I played with a lot of other players. I got better, and eventually, I was ranked in the capital region area. I was ranked in yeah, it's kind of like Central New York. So I was really I was one of the top players in the region. Through that, I also got into things like commentating and running events as well. So kind of playing and finding out what esports was for myself was a great avenue into kind of the rest of it because there is so much more than just playing. You can organize the tournaments, there's stream broadcasting, there's commentating and casting. Um, I for the past I don't know, maybe like 6 or something years, I've been working with an esports company in the Albany area called Claim to Fame Entertainment. And
Okay.
with them, we've run a lot of events, different tournaments, different high school events as well. Um, and they helped me. They helped to get me a lot of the experience that I needed to get to a position like this. And so, what
Mhm.
ended up happening is there was a position open here at St. Rose, and the CEO of this company was in contact with the athletics director here. So at the College of St. Rose, esports is actually under our athletics department. So
Okay.
they made that connection, and then Mike, the CEO of Claim to Fame Entertainment, he tied me in with St. Rose, and I've been here since.
Great, great. And take us a bit like in the route, like how would a day to day be of a student player, like with class, like practice and competition schedule?
Yeah, so our competition schedule is going to be very set. If there's ever times for certain days for matches that don't work for students, we are able to reschedule them. So most of our matches will take place towards the evening. So typically they don't run into classes. And what we do at the beginning of the semester is we sit down. Each team we take a look at their schedules. We look at what works and what doesn't, and we plan our practice times around student schedules. This way, no one's ever missing class to practice. No one's ever having to leave early or run late. So we situate that to make sure it works well around your schedule, but also these practice times are important. Obviously, get together. Sometimes it's just running plays, sometimes it's working on specific mechanics. But yeah, so most of the esports, I guess, action, you could say, typically molds really well around some student schedules. Some students also work. We obviously can work with that as well because sometimes, working is also important. Um, so, yeah, yeah. Ideally, we'll have like a practice or two, like two-ish practices, like scheduled practices a week. But these are also typically games that the students enjoy playing. So outside of scheduled practices, um, they're also working on stuff on their own time. They end up making friends with other people on the team, playing with them, and that's one thing that I've seen really, really be a huge benefit to a lot of the students here is them becoming good friends, but then also working, on their game together, helping each other out. So yeah.
Great. And you mentioned work, like, do you offer like student positions for like, I don't know, graphic design, content creation, social media, like things an esports program would need, like for students to develop their skills?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we don't have positions open specifically for that. I've had students come on. One thing that St. Rose does for students during their senior year is one of the classes is basically focused on internships. So you get an internship, and that's the class. And so I've had an esports intern in the past, and he did a lot of work helping with marketing for the program, reaching out to other schools. Also, he did a really, really great job with student outreach on campus and trying to, promote program from a club aspect as well as a varsity aspect. Obviously we have our teams that compete, but esports is not always just about competition. There's people that just like to game, and so it's a great way to make friends. So that's why we have our club aspect as well.
That's great.
But in terms of how the program, the opportunities in the program, typically what we do here at St. Rose is I get the pulse, I get the interest of the students, and that's the direction that we typically go in, because they're the ones that make up the program, if that makes sense. I can have this vision, I can have all these things that I want to do, but if there's not a group of students that want to do that, it's just not going to happen. So I have students that help out with the graphic design for things that we put on social media. There's a small team of students that help to try to keep our social media updated. So while there aren't official positions, students have taken great initiative and done some really, really great work in those areas. And so, yeah, I mean, they've definitely gotten to work on their craft with that, but it's been good for us as St. Rose, but it's also been good for them. Developing and nurturing those skills.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like empowering the students is the best thing because the esports program is made for them.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
absolutely.
So that's great. And so for those students that because they have a tight schedule with academics and esports, sometimes with the practice and the practice they put, if they are a bit overloaded, like what how can you manage, like how do you manage, like for them to like be like less overloaded, let's say?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's going to happen to most everyone. College can get stressful. There's a lot going on, there's a lot to figure out. It's typically a great time too. And so I think what we do in situations like that is just kind of want to sit down with that student and we just kind of prioritize. You came to school to go to school. Obviously I want you to be able to play on this team. I want you to be able to have a great time doing that as well. But it's like, okay, let's take a look at classes. How are classes going? That's where we'll start. See what extra help they could get if they feel like the classes are what's really stressing them out. St. Rose has a lot of different tutoring opportunities. You have a great writing center as well. And so that's where we would start. Because again, like, if you're coming to college, to go to school. And so we want to make sure that you are 100% set up for success with that. And then, we go from there. We can look at practice times. We can look at when the games are, see if there's a better time for us to reschedule the practices. Sometimes people are going to miss practices. It happens. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, if you're going to be on the team, you need to be committed. But listen, things come up, right? And the game times, we can change those around as well. We can reach out to the teams that we're playing throughout that week. We can offer other times that work for us to reschedule. But obviously we're in here for competition. We're in here to do well. We're trying to win. But it doesn't go well if the players are really stressed out. They can be stressed out about the game. They can be stressed out about school. They can be stressed out about anything. Stress just doesn't help. And so, making sure that students are in an environment that they feel comfortable in, that they feel good in, that they can feel challenged in without feeling overloaded is extremely, extremely important. So that's something that we would absolutely work with and do our best to make everyone feel like they're in a space where they're ready to grow.
That's great. And I was thinking, like, going back to what we mentioned about like empowering students, for you personally, what would be the transferable skills you wish the students get when they graduate to enter the workforce? Like, what is your mission or objective for the students?
I think what I learned so I went to college at a college in the area, the University of Albany, and I got my bachelor's degree in human biology. So it didn't exactly transfer over to what I'm doing now. But one of the biggest things is being a good communicator. You don't have to be an extrovert. You can be an introvert. You don't have to be super out of yourself, but being a good and effective communicator goes such a long way. You don't have to say a lot. you don't always have to be talking. You don't always have to be in front of people, but learning how to communicate with people. So that can, and it's college is one thing that's great about college is you are constantly surrounded by people that you can interact with. Now, you can also choose not to do that. You can interact with your peers, you can interact with TAs, you can interact with teachers, professors, coaches. But one of the biggest things is making connections. I guess really just practicing making connections. Connections take you a long way. It's a great way to learn is meeting other people, connecting with them, and learning from their experiences as well. But I think learning to communicate with people and connect with people are just huge. I think from what I've seen, they've been two of the things that I've really seen help people be really successful and be some people's pretty big downfalls.
Great. And with what you created and the students created, like what is like the community that you guys created? What do you think are the most? What is it, the most valuable thing that the community in St. Rose has? That you think, like, what makes you different from other schools?
Yeah.
You know?
I remember I came into our esports arena one night. It was after one of our matches. I came back in a little while after the match, and I guess one thing that we have that most schools don't is we have a really, really great esports arena. I'm going to turn this around real quick and just pan around to it. See if I can.
Whoa. Yeah.
So we've got these 24 computers, monitors, all set up in a great space. The school did such a great job putting this space together. But anyways, I came back into the arena, and all the students are just chairs in a circle in the back, and they're just hanging out, and they're just laughing, and they're just talking, and they're just having a good time. And it reminded me of my own time in college. We didn't have this specific setup, but it just looked like what I did with my friends in college. They just hanging around, having a good time. And I saw that, and I was like, this is going well. This isn't something that I'm super hands-on about at all, because it's their relationships with each other, but it's really just nurturing that environment of these students have a similar interest, so they're just going to have fun together. And so one thing that I think our group has done a really good job of is really fostering a sense of community. Students are always, hey, I'm going to D Hall. Do you want to come? And so, they'll be eating together. They'll do work together. And so I think that there's just a really, really great established sense of community here. That it doesn't really matter, in, out of practices, when they're in here, whether they're playing games or just hanging out, whether they're outside of the arena, they'll go and do things on campus together. They'll go do things off campus together. A lot of these students will live. A lot of the students end up living together. Again, even on and off campus, I have some students that are RAs. One student who just graduated, he was an RA for a long time, very, very talented and good at what he did. And one of our new students also became an RA. And so they ended up working together. And, the student that just graduated was able to help build up this one student who's now going to continue to be an RA. And he's also a great, very personable guy and good at what he does. So it's really just this sense of community that's been established of, these are the things that we do together because this is what we came together to do. But then they can also walk away from that community because, there's more to life, right, than just gaming with your friends, and do those things together as well. And, people are people, bumps come up, people have issues sometimes. But I've really seen them do a great job of working through, difficult situations as well, sitting down and talking with people, not just letting things sit and fester and let bad blood develop. But, I've seen them sit down and talk about things that have come up, whether it was just between teams, whether it was just between friends. But I've seen the students here really fight for a sense of community, and they've done a really, really great job of maintaining that.
Yeah, I can actually sense your passion, when you talk about your.
They're great. I honestly, I'm really great to work here because I do get to work with a really great group of students. So if it shows, well, it shows.
So how do you in terms of the community and the community itself choose what video games to play or compete in? What has influenced the video games they have now, and what will influence the future games that you will have? What do you think are the main areas?
I mean, the main absolute thing is, do we have students that want to play this game? Now, I can absolutely love a game and thinks it's amazing and so much fun, but if I don't have any students to compete in it, then there's no reason for me to push it. Now, it's always can be an option if we end up having students that want to play this game, but the games that we play, the games that we compete in, is completely driven by the students' passions. Right now we have Rocket League, League of Legends, Overwatch, Super Smash Brothers, Valorant, Street Fighter 6. I know I have one student that's been playing VGC Pokemon, and it's really what the students want to do. We've had Apex Legends in the past when students have wanted to do that, Fortnite, Hearthstone. But in terms of the games that we choose to compete, it's what the students want to do. I have a handful of students that are talking about starting a Rainbow Six team. And so if we have enough students that want to do that, we'll do that. We've had a 2K team in the past. And that's so in terms of the games we compete in, that's also so largely based off the passions of the students and what direction they want to take it with it.
Great. And what would you say is your program like? Is it more focused on academic side, on the esports side, on the entertaining side? Like, what do you want? Or is it a bit of the three or something? What is the main focus in your program as of today? Because it can shift, but like as of today.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, one thing that we stress is that students came here to go to college, right? And college is also a really, really big investment. And so that's not something that we want to be thrown away carelessly because, we got too involved in this one community and, forgot to do work or whatever. So academics is still the primary objective. We want students to come here, get a good education, and hopefully, carry that on through and be able to graduate and get their degree before moving into the workforce. But outside of that, this is a space where students can come, be who they are, and do what they want to do. Have fun, meet other people who do the same things that they want to do. So, academics is the priority because we want to make sure that students are doing what they came for. But after that, it's really a space for students to come and develop who they are and what they want to do. Sometimes that comes through influence of friends. Sometimes that comes through, they're going through whatever major they chose. They're not having a great time with it. Sometimes they'll choose and switch to that. But this is really meant to be an area that is going to be supportive for the students. I don't want this ever to feel like it's something that students are dreading, like, oh, I have to go to practice. Oh, I have to play in this match. Oh, I have to be in this space. I think it's really, really important, especially in college. It's such a transitionary time. For so many students, it's their first time, kind of on their own. And that's one thing that I really love getting to work with these young adults is them really, really figuring out who they are and what they want to do and what their life is going to look like and just getting to be there and see it and, work with them as they get towards that. So the main thing is academics. That's what you came to school to do. But right up there with that is, really just a sense of personal growth and giving the students a safe space to do that.
Great answer. Yeah, and also, do you focus or are you focus like thinking of focusing on on the academic side of esports, like maybe a certificate, a minor, or a master's or a major in St. Rose, or it's something that maybe in the future?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a more down the line thing. I think it would be great. I know that a lot of colleges are starting to do that, having degrees here and there for different. I think it's different kinds of esports, development, marketing, and stuff like that. It's definitely something that I would love to get into. I don't think it's, I think we'd start with maybe a class or two here, and I would love to, work with the college and move towards that if that's something they'd be interested in. I don't see that happening very soon. But I do think that the educational side of esports I think honestly, the educational side of esports is what offers the most potential for a career. You hop on Twitch, you hop on YouTube, and you watch the best of the best of the best players in the world. And realistically, they do have a talent for these things. There are some people who really just have a talent, talent, hard work, they work together. Some people really just have the work ethic to be the best too. But at the end of the day, the top of the top of the top, there's not a whole lot of people that are going to reach that. And one thing that's great about esports is there's so many other avenues to get into esports, and do it as something that, can sustain you. And so I think esports education is huge. And that's one thing that this company I've worked with, Claim to Fame Entertainment, have done a really, really great job of is esports education outside of just organizing and running big events, also educating people on esports and, how it's not just a bunch of people that come together and play video games, but how it really, really helps students, young adults, people of any age to develop skills that they can use in a lot of different things.
Jack, it's been super valuable. Just to wrap it up, like, where can people find you and your program?
So you can just look up the College of St. Rose. If you look up St. Rose, if you go to Strohs. So we call it Strohs is our little abbreviation, St. Rose. So strohs.edu. That's where you can find the College of St. Rose. Any information on that, you can type in Strohs Esports. That'll bring you right to our website. We have a lot of just general information on there. There's ways to reach out to me. My Discord is on there. I can get emails from there as well. So we have social medias, St. Rose Esports on Twitter, St. Rose Esports on Instagram. You can come to the website, you can come through our socials, but I'd love to interact with students who have questions about the program, questions about esports in general.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks, and we stay in touch.
Yeah, sounds good.